Meredith is joining us from a hotel in an undisclosed location, so she's rolling with the GovieLovies, because I spoiled it already, but drum roll, a traditional drum roll from Dan. Yeah. It's the GovieLovies. We're doing it, y'all. We're here to pick and award our favorite episodes of the year. It's the last episode of 2025, but we're going to look back and highlight some of our favorite interviews, the favorite moments of the podcast. Doing another year of GovLove. Somehow it's the 10th year, I believe, happened this year. As you all know, our dear listener, GovLove is produced by engaging local government leaders. You can support GovLove by becoming an ELGO member. ELGO is a national volunteer-run membership-based nonprofit with a mission to engage the brightest minds in local government. Check us out, learn more, and join with the low cost of a $50 annual membership at elgl.org. So it wouldn't be a GovLove podcast, especially the GovieLovies, without one, technical issues from your dear co-hosts to start this recording. Two, a lightning round. So, what's your highlight of 2025? Dan, start us off.
Well, the highlight for me is easily Disney's Country Bear Musical Jamboree. According to Spotify, only 3 people on Earth listened to Disney's Country Bears more than my family this year. I know what you're saying. I can barely believe it.
Wow.
Our son warped my Spotify Wrapped in the very best way. It started last year. We stopped for a day at the Magic Kingdom when the Fighting Illini football team was at the Citrus Bowl. My wife got a new job. We were very fortunate to travel with her on a work trip to Paris, and we went to Disneyland Paris for my son's 4th birthday. She has still not joined me on any of my work travel to local government meetings, notwithstanding the fact they're all open to the public.
Got to start them young.
Yeah, right.
The travel's much better to your work trips.
Yeah, I would think. And we're finishing the year again with the Fighting Illini football team at the Music City Bowl in Nashville. It'll be a knee-slapping, toe-tapping jubilee, and we can't wait. The Country Bears, my highlight of 2025.
I just want to make sure I heard that right. Third on the planet. Your family.
Yeah. Number 4. So there were 3 people ahead of us. So I don't want to oversell my credentials. It was top 4, number 4.
Goals for 26, get on the medal stand. Get in that top 3.
Correct.
Yeah. It was over 200 listens to get me in the 4th place.
Wow.
We'll have to push it a little bit harder this year. We'll see what we can do.
Oh, well done. What a highlight, Dan.
Thank you. Top that. Good luck, Lauren.
Well, I think I've got a contender. Big year in my household. The highlight for me was just executing the nuclear option and completely blowing up my life in middle age and relocating to a new state where I know absolutely no one, in Minnesota, but I have felt very welcomed and embraced here. And my highlight is that it stinks to move. And let me tell you, the older you get, the harder it is. I don't remember it being this hard to move when I moved earlier in life, and life was not as complex. So I have endured this year so many horrible customer service experiences with state government, with the private sector. But I will say local government on both ends of this move in both Missouri and Minnesota stood out as the noticeable bright spots that were easy to deal with. And, good job, local government. We're the best. And I have living proof of that this year. And that's my highlight.
What was your best customer service experience? What was good?
My best customer service experience, really closing my utility account in one city and opening up my new utility account in the next city.
A rite of passage, an absolute rite of passage.
Yes. Like the experience of setting up the new utility account in my new home was like so effortless, and everything. I had a lovely like phone interaction, and then after that got my like online account set up that was totally easy and effortless, got my auto pay set up. Like government gets blamed a lot for, needing to operate more like a business. And I'm telling you, I spent 4 hours on the phone with Xfinity trying to get internet set up in my new house. And I'm thinking to myself, I could get the utility done, nothing, in a 30-second lovely phone call. Government is doing it better.
Ben, there goes our Xfinity sponsorship.
There you go.
Oh, oops. Sorry. It was bad.
Well,
maybe we could just blot that out. Maybe it could just be like, please, anonymous corporate broadband provider.
Lauren, I can't remember the last time we talked about your pending move, but I don't think it was final the last time we chatted. And like one of your big worries was, do I have a coat big enough for a Minnesota winter? Do you have a coat big enough for a Minnesota winter?
Listen, my friends, thank you for asking. I am a Yeti now. Okay, I keep saying this to my husband, like I feel it in my soul, and I have an enormous coat, I have boots, I wear long underwear every day. It is just like part of my getting ready. I brush my teeth, I put on long underwear, head to toe, then whatever outfit I'm wearing that day, I've got it figured out. Okay.
But do you have to like then buy bigger clothes to fit all the like pajamas underneath them? Inquiring minds who live in coastal cities really want to know.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, is this TMI? Are we getting off track? The base layer is designed to be like just like a little extension of your skin. It just fits. I don't know how to explain this. Like so far, it hasn't been a problem. Now, ask me again 3 months from now when I've been eating like Minnesota hot dish in hibernation all winter. There's probably going to be some adjustment to my wardrobe needed. Stay tuned.
Oh no.
Fair.
Well, yeah, that's exciting, Lord.
Thank you. Go local government.
Meredith, what was your highlight of 2025?
Oh, my highlight of the year was the ELGO conference. We brought the ELGO conference back in Santa Rosa. It was incredible. We had all things Snoopy because that's the location of Charles Schultz, the animator. And we had an incredible 3 days with the Analyst Academy and meeting some great folks from across the country. Really proud of ourselves and really excited for all the folks who came out to join us. So that was my highlight. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, that's awesome. No, my highlight, it dovetails nicely with both of yours. I missed the conference because of my highlight. We welcomed baby number 2 to our household. Our daughter Clara was born in April, and there was lots of fun stuff adding that, and then having a toddler also running around causing chaos. So it didn't quite blow up our lives quite the way Lauren did, but in its own way, adding a second child will do that.
Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty dramatic life change.
But it is amazing to see already the differences in between the first and second. The second just has to be along for the ride, man, in a different way. It's the toddler's world. We're all living in it. I say that having
you're gonna have a playlist like Dan's pretty soon.
My key, Dan, is I say that Dad's phone doesn't have that song. You got to go to Mom.
I love that trick.
We'll see. I don't know. I kind of leaned into it. I love it.
But then that's my way of indoctrinating them into Jimmy Buffett and other of my favorites. So that's
well played.
You got parenting figured out. Way to go.
Yeah. So that's my highlight. It's been a fun 2025 and also a huge year for GovLove. I mean, we started our celebration, I'd say. It's still ongoing well into 2026, the 10 years of GovLove, which is still amazing to me that this podcast has been going on that long. You don't see very many podcasts that make it that long. We had our 700th episode earlier this year, actually not very long ago. Which again is I'm really proud of this team and this organization to like make that happen and be such a long-standing for lack of a better word institution for local government stories and spreading the good work that's going on in cities and local governments all across the country. So kudos to all of you, our dear co-hosts, and thank you listeners for listening for all these years. All right, it's finally time, Lauren.
Yes, it's what you all came for, the GovieLovies. We have each picked our 3 top episodes for the year to award a GovieLovie to, and we are going to do our traditional snake draft and share those with you now. So I'm going to kick us off, starting with my number 3 pick for the year. I picked episode 670, the Sparks pilot program with Grace Hanne from Johnson County, Kansas. Meredith, I believe this was your episode. And first of all, if you have not heard this episode or you have not met Grace, she's just a great interviewee, I guess, has a great voice for radio. I know Grace from working on some things together in the Kansas City area. And she's just like one of these awesome people in local government who we love to talk to. And she has a background in the private sector. So I think it's really interesting how she has translated her private sector experience into her local government work. And just in this episode, I don't know, her energy just shone through the way that they in Johnson County have really worked hard at doing employee engagement at all levels of innovation in the organization. And she just really had such a pride in the way that they have developed this homegrown program. And just for those who don't know, Johnson County is like a mega government. I think they have like 4,000 employees. So to do engagement the way that they have, like really ingrained throughout that organization, I think is impressive. And it was a great listen. Good one, Meredith. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, she gave that interview during tornado watch.
Which is, Meredith, that's not a big deal. There's a lot of tornado watches.
Hey, look.
Just a Tuesday.
Yes, it was like Tuesday.
It was like sirens going off in the back. I'm like, is everything okay? I'm like, we can reschedule. She's like, no, it'll be fine. I'm like, okay. But it was great. She was such a good chat.
That's amazing. Dana, I think you're up next on the snake.
Speaking of engaging, it's episode 704, Development Customer Service with JC Hudgison, Tampa, Florida. It's a great episode, part of Ben's series, revisiting great guests from the past 10 years of GovLove. It's like when the movies win the Oscars for being about Hollywood. The GovLove Academy loves GovLove. And so
true.
As a longtime listener, it was great to hear Ben catch up with JC at the ICMA conference. JC is the chief building official and construction services manager for the city of Tampa, Florida. They discussed effective customer service and technological innovation in a high volume municipality. JC discussed handling over 27,000 permits annually. Big theme was their commitment to consistency, which is a frequent request from customers like contractors and architects. The city's exploring the use of human-in-the-loop AI to pre-screen plans against prescriptive code requirements internally, give staff a consistent baseline for plan review. I liked that he described it like we're McDonald's or Burger King. The base should still be the same. We're giving a consistent product every time. It made me hungry. The episode also covered municipal resilience. They implemented fee waivers and pop-up permit centers in affected areas following back-to-back hurricanes Helen and Milton to encourage safe rebuilding and protect residents from contractor scams. It was an engaging and interesting conversation. It gets a GovieLovie from me. What say you, Ben?
Yeah, well said. I love catching up with JC. It was fun to be on his home turf since the conference was in Tampa and he works for Tampa.
Right.
Like we got to, and I think when we originally talked for GovLove, it was still in the pandemic. I can't remember if it was 21 or 22.
Yeah.
But he was in transition to this role. He had just accepted it, just like was getting to know everything. And so it was fun on a personal note, just to like see him like settle in. And he was like, yeah, my family's thriving. Like it was really fun. And then just to talk about like, you see all the development going on in Tampa when you're there, especially around where the conference
That's
was.
right.
And like, that's his department, like managing that and inspecting that. And so that was cool to like learn about. And yeah, the other piece, Dan, the response to the hurricanes, because Helene hit the Appalachian Mountains really hard, North Carolina really hard, but down in that area of Florida, they got back-to-back hurricanes. They got Helene and Milton like within a 2-week span, and so there were places that got hit both times. There were places that got hit one on worse than the other, and so it was really interesting to hear, like, from a building perspective, what does that mean to like respond and like still make sure everything's safe and up to code and all that good stuff, but also be responsive and recognize the kind of need that a community has in rebuilding from that. So it was great fun catching up with JC and talking, nerdy local government stuff like like building and inspections.
No, good app. Thanks for doing it. Meredith, I think you're up.
Mine was 661, the real Ice Town. I think this is Lauren's. I'm a sucker for a Parks and Rec reference, right? So that was mine. It was a great episode because it had the opportunity to talk about a real case study example that was useful in a variety of different contexts, whether it was related to an ice rink or anything like that. Just sort of the way in which you go through and have an idea, try and manifest that idea, find partners who will believe in your idea, and really find a way for some win-wins for kind of all involved. So kudos to Lauren, and kudos to Icetown.
Yeah, thank you, Meredith. That was a fun one to do because Tim Blakeslee, it was like I hired Tim for a job when I was a city administrator, and he was straight out of grad school. So it's been fun to see his career blossom. And I agree. A lot of the stories we do on GovLove are about, big wins. And ultimately this one was a win, but I think it's great when we have guests who will tell us some of the failures we've encountered and how they've overcome through those failures and lessons learned. I think those are really great for our audience because they're really applicable.
Yeah. Being able to talk about the things that perhaps didn't go quite right and being honest about those, like there's no shame in that. There's a lot that we learn from those kinds of experiences and the opportunities that come from them that you might not otherwise have.
Right. And in this story, a lot of the mistakes were from the private partner who I think got in a little bit over their head. And the city actually did a really great job, and the city staff, of anticipating that and putting protections in place for the city. So when the road got bumpy, the city was really protected because of good work by the team on the front end. So it was a good lesson in, watching out for vulnerabilities.
Yeah, it was definitely a good listen. Very like tactical and practical too, which I appreciated. And those exist across a multitude of our episodes, but that one in particular really stood out to me.
Very cool. So I think I'm next on the snake. And again, not to get too navel gazing with our selections here, to Dan's point, but one of my new favorite traditions is when we get together at the ICMA conference and do like a little recap. It's just fun to like first see you guys in 3 dimensions, which doesn't happen very often. It actually only happens at this conference and maybe at ELGL conferences. And so that's my pick for number 3, the ICMA recap episode from this year. We also had some of Meredith's colleagues from the city of Long Beach join us.
The LBC.
Yeah, as well as some other friends of the pod. But again, it's just fun to connect in person and see everybody and talk about kind of fun trend, or not even fun, but just trends that we're seeing across the country in our different roles, and also what we're hearing at a conference like that, where that brings so many people together from across the country. I think it was also recorded shortly after the Hot Ones episode, or Hot Ones session.
That's right.
So one of Meredith's colleagues was still, I think, a little teary-eyed and a little, maybe her lips were still burning from the hot sauce on those wings, but just a fun conversation. And honestly, it's more the environment of getting to connect with everybody, which is, I know it may or may not make for a great podcast episode, but it's something that I enjoyed and I look forward to now at each conference that we're at.
It was a great episode, Ben. I did not make it to the conference this year, and I had major FOMO listening to that episode, but I agree. It was a lot of fun. Always one of my favorite episodes of the year, too.
Well, and you just throw people together in the room and they somehow just kind of gel, and it's so awesome to watch. And also like I'm there with you all, but it's my boss, right? I'm like, oh
Yeah, I
no,
was gonna
it's
say
my boss.
your city manager joined, and I think you told me I didn't prep him at all. I just wanted to see what happened.
I prepped him a little bit, but both he and our assistant city manager April, who was the Hot Ones contestant, are very used to doing this and talking off the cuff, and actually enjoyed the more informal nature of not feeling like they had to be on all the time. They had a great experience, and really complimented, you, Ben, and others who were there, for just a really welcoming conversation. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So this is where Lauren gets confused each year. So a tradition unlike any other. I go back. So it's the snake. We're reversing. So my number 2 pick, and I had lots of really like fun and interesting conversations throughout the year. And this one has been like on my radar since I saw that Portland was considering a form of government change. And it was kind of a white whale to like reach out to this guy. And I can't believe he said yes and had such a frank conversation with me. But Michael Jordan from the city of Portland, he was a city or I don't know what his actual title was, but he was serving as city administrator during the during the form of government transition. I talked to him for episode number 678, change management and implementing a new form of government. And yeah, Michael Jordan was amazing. Like it was just like he was really frank and honest with like the challenges of that kind of transition, the amount of work it takes to do that. Like from the outside, you see, oh, voters voted it in, they'll need to hire new staff, but actually there's like a ton of work that has to go on in the interim before, the switch flips. And then he talked a lot about like the role of elected officials changes so dramatically in that kind of form of government switch. And that's really I won't put these words in his mouth, but that was one of my takeaways was like, that's the real challenge is like, how do you get them to shift from maybe, especially there where the commission form of government, they were in charge of departments. They acted as little, almost strong mayors over the departments they were assigned to like truly a legislative body. And there's more of them now. It's just a different form of government. And like what that role looks like and getting them used to that, as well as getting the public and staff used to that. It was just, I really enjoyed he was really like frank and honest in a way that I wasn't expecting. Not that he said anything kind of crazy, but just like, that's a hard change. And it's really political. It's really like, it was in the news. He was in the news a lot. Like all the decisions the council was having to make were in the news a lot. And so I could totally see him, in another world or another person in that role being a little apprehensive to share much of what that experience was like. But that was really fascinating to hear what that was like. And so I really enjoyed that conversation.
That was a good app. I was disappointed at first when I tuned in and it was not Michael Jordan, the dog, who's been on the podcast many times, barking in the background of some of our earlier GovLove episodes. And then I heard it was a person. Oh, great. It's the guy from the Last Dance documentary, Chicago legend, Michael Jordan. But then I found out it wasn't him either. But it turned out to be a very good conversation about like a really important and long time coming change in the city. And so what a talk, great up.
Well, just that like local government 101 understanding of what is a council manager form of government.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of those sorts of lessons in his share. So that was really interesting of having them understand.
Yeah. Well, and he made the point that like, it's not even it's not a pure council manager form of government. Like there is a city administrator. I think they're appointed or nominated by the mayor and confirmed by council, and the mayor's still full time. So they made a big change, but it's still not quite like, the classic council manager form. And so navigating some of those intricacies was very interesting. All right, Meredith, back to you for your number 2.
My number 2 is Staying Authentic with Aarón Zavala. That was a big episode for me because I really enjoy him as a person. I've known him for a long time. We've worked, together in a variety of professional development opportunities, and just to sort of hear his journey and hear about this concept of being in a big tent organization and also being part of multiple organizations makes everyone better. I really love that sentiment. Um, so many organizations are sort of internally focused on like how do they sustain themselves and not how do they parlay their value and experience and opportunities with other organizations to kind of amplify the work. That's part of why I'm part of ELGL and why it's so important to me. Hearing him talk about that, I think was really great. And to be able to see himself in the work, see himself in the multiple organizations, and talking about staying grounded amidst all the busyness that comes with being involved in all those different places. Shout out to his wife, Christy. He talked a lot about, the importance of having a spouse that understands and supports what you do. I feel very lucky with my spouse, kind of coming from the same realm, and I don't know what I would do without that. And so to hear him, talk about that and about being strategic in the positions that he takes and the opportunities that are presented to him, and I think that was a really great listen. Great job, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you. I take no credit for it. You're right. Aarón is just kind of a natural connector. And what I love about this episode, we recorded the episode about a week before we all came out for Camp GovLife in Santa Rosa, and I met him in person for the first time. And it's like a real ELGL story because it's like, seeing him in the conference,
Yeah,
like
pocket friends.
big hug, good to see you, like instant friendship and connection. And on paper, Aarón and I don't really have a lot in common other than working in local government. But I think that's kind of what's magical about the profession and about ELGL, that you get to meet, interact with, and develop friendships with all different kinds of people, and really how powerful that is for expanding our horizons and making us all better public servants. Yeah, he was a fun interview.
Yeah, and great takeaway at the end, like this concept of rising tides lift all boats, and the advice he had for the different levels of people in government and how they deal with the up and coming, next generation of people, like very specific and tangible advice. So good job. Passing it back.
I'm up next. It's Ben. I'm surprised this one was not on your list. It's episode 679, Land Use Planning and Residential Segregation with Dr. Scott Markley. Lauren recorded it at the Missouri City County Management Association Spring Conference at your favorite place, the Margaritaville Resort.
Hey, what's not to love?
At Lake of the Ozarks. So, as a listener, I enjoy tagging along with these different conferences. The ICMA conference. That's why I love that string of episodes, and this one I enjoyed as well. Dr. Markley is the research director for the National Zoning Atlas, which we've talked about on the podcast before. It's an initiative aimed at digitizing, demystifying, and democratizing zoning codes. Their goal is to allow for a kind of apples to apples comparison of land use rules across the country. He also talked about AI slop. He's found in private sector AI generated zoning data that is often extremely inaccurate. A nice follow up to that human in the loop idea we talked about earlier. Important to check over the work that the AI is doing. And he talked about successful policy interventions, the Montana Miracle he mentioned, where they built a broad political coalition using data to achieve statewide zoning reform. He also talked about the data-driven analysis, how contemporary zoning practices contribute to persistent racial segregation. He argued that facially race-neutral policies like exclusionary single-family zoning can maintain segregating effects across the country. And the episode offered advice for local leaders about zoning code reforms that reduce or eliminate minimum lot sizes or minimum parking requirements to encourage more inclusive communities. It was great hearing about his presentation at the conference on this issue. That's why it gets a GovieLovie, Lauren.
I'm honored, Dan. You're right. It was a great episode. I'm probably going to offend someone in the higher education community by saying this, but it can be a bit of a gamble to have an academic with
professors.
PhD behind the name on the podcast, right?
Mhm.
It might be less energizing than some of our other episodes, and fortunately, Scott was the opposite. I think he did a really good job of kind of down to earth explaining some really complicated analysis that they're doing at the National Zoning Atlas that is really good work and important work about kind of the lingering effects of racial segregation. Like we haven't quite solved all those issues yet in our country, sadly, but
right.
I think they're doing a good job of helping communities get there.
Yeah, it's amazing. Every once in a while, the city will go through like a review of their ordinances or do research on the deeds in some of the homes in their community, and some of that language is still there.
Yeah.
The like facially like the segregationist language, but these like policies like have this legacy, and how do we as local government administrators like address that and and try to reverse it, if not make sure it doesn't happen going into the future. I think it's one of the challenges I would argue of a lot of communities if they want to take this seriously.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks, Dan. Well, that brings the snake back to me.
Ooh.
My number 2 pick was episode 701, Leading ICMA and the Roots of Professional Government with Julia Novak. So this was one of Ben's episodes that he did at the ICMA conference. And of course, Ben and Julia have a relationship. And I think that's always fun when the host and guests know each other. It's kind of like, as the listener, you're just observing them having a conversation in the living room or a coffee shop. So that's always kind of fun. And, Julia has a really big reputation in the city management profession, but she's not someone that I know personally or know a lot about. And I was really surprised at the similarities in our careers. So that was kind of fun and inspiring for me just as a listener to think, gosh, she's like ICMA executive director now. Anything's possible, which is always kind of a great feel in an episode. And then, just as an ICMA member and a member of the city management community, it was fun isn't the right word. It was, it was just interesting to hear her describe first year as a new executive director. ICMA had a heck of a tough year with a lot of changes in federal funding, and really impressed by her work and the adaptability of the organization to just kind of weather through that and kind of refocus and recenter on their core purpose and their core mission of advocating for the city management profession. So that was a good one. Thanks for your work, Ben.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. I loved talking with Julia. I mean, for listeners that can't read between the lines, she hired me as a consultant at her firm, and then when we were merged with Revitalization, I still worked for her until she took this current role. So the last 6 years, I've been working for Julia until early this spring. And that was like I would say, I don't think it'd be revealing secrets to say the folks in the firm were like really surprised that she left, but like also that made the most sense in the world that this would be the kind of role you would take at this point in your career from her perspective. And so, and I was so excited to see what she would do. And so it was just fun to catch up with like this person who's been thinking about this profession in this way and has such a unique view on it. Like she's worked with so many city councils and city managers across the country for decades at this point. And so like coming into this role where you can have such an impact on the profession and an impact on like local government, like it was just fun to see her think through this. And you're right, the USAID cuts, the State Department cuts to their federal funding sources, like that really, I didn't realize how much of ICMA that was.
Yeah, same.
And like there's a lot of staff that are not there anymore. And that's a hard decision to make and a hard pivot to make as an organization. And I also enjoyed one of the themes I would say of some of her talks and sessions at the conference was about like, why is this form of government important? And like, why did, this council manager form of government emerge in the first place? And this role of a city county manager like emerge. And it's this roots of, the progressive era and like reform and like professionalizing and like how, like we need to remember that. And like, we'll talk about some, episodes that I also liked, but there are people that are coming from different walks of life. They don't come the traditional MPA to assistant to assistant to city manager route that maybe aren't as steeped in that knowledge and that history that I know gets maybe not drilled into you, but it's the undercurrent of a lot of your training and when you do that kind of route. And so like, how do we bring those folks up to speed? I mean, and like make sure that they know about that value and like why this form of government matters so much. And I don't know, I just really, it's not a perspective that I hear very often. And so for her to kind of bring that up was really, really interesting. I think worth engaging with as professionals.
Yeah, I'm a big history fan, so I appreciated that.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, for the first time in GovieLovie's history, I'm going to get it right with the snake draft and go immediately into my number one pick for this year, which was episode 691. Sorry, we were just taking a moment.
Just
Dan and Ben are stunned.
I appreciate this.
Okay. Thank you. It only took 4 or 5 years?
There's some golf clap happening in the background just for you.
Okay. Jeez, come on, people. All right. Moving on. My number one episode of the year was the scenic route to City Hall with Peggy Flynn from Petaluma, California. This was another Meredith episode. And this was one in a series of episodes that we did featuring leaders in Northern California that was in conjunction with Camp GovLife. So for me, this is just like Meredith said earlier, her highlight of the year was Camp GovLife. That was certainly a highlight for me too. And I loved this series. It was kind of fun to just shine a light on a particular region where we've got strong membership base and some great leaders doing some great things. And so anyway, I've never met Peggy Flynn. I didn't even get the chance to visit with her at the conference, was shame for me, but just really loved what she shared in the episode. And I think what really stood out for me is like, Petaluma Peggy has got her priorities straight. She is getting it done for that city and is doing a lot of great work and has built a good team and still is spending at least 2 weeks of summer out in nature. And just spoiler alert, if you haven't listened to it yet, she spent part of the episode, she spent 2 weeks off the grid in Denali, had a park ranger drop her in the middle of nowhere with a satellite phone and, focused on herself and nature for 2 weeks. I mean, it's the dream. But let me tell you, there's a city manager out there who's doing it, and it's possible for the rest of us. Love that episode.
That's right. That her summer sabbatical is built into her contract. It's part of what she spoke to council about being important. And because of who she is and how amazing she is, they were like, we understand why respite and reset is important. And that's a chance for your organization to develop other leaders. I think that's great.
Yep. And the message that sends to her team, I trust you guys that if something happens in 2 weeks when I'm out in the woods, you'll handle it. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not all about me. Loved it.
No, this was one of my favorite episodes too. Lauren snagged it, but her perspective, and the value personally of doing that kind of break, but also for the organization to be like, we don't need her. That means we're building up the bench beneath us. It means that you're empowering leaders underneath you. And so you just keep things moving when the city manager's out of the country and unavailable entirely, which is maybe different than, I don't know. You also hear people that tell war stories about always being available or taking a call on vacation. It's I don't know that that's how I would want to live my life, and she's found a way to do it, the way that maybe I'm jealous of. 2 weeks sabbatical. That sounds pretty great. So it's just really cool to hear that perspective. That's not something that often gets brought up, I think, when people talk about, that role. And
I will say one more thing and then move on. That she really valued that time for her battery recharge, because she talked about how her husband called her during that 2 week period, and she was like, is this an emergency? Okay, click. A lot of times when we take time off, it's to go on a family vacation, and that has its own level of stress and isn't really time
not a vacation,
to re-energize in some ways. So there was just a lot about that. She's doing a lot of things that I think are inspiring for our audience.
And what other guest has a cool nickname like Petaluma Peggy? I mean, come on.
Yeah. I've just been calling her that, and I'm going to meet her someday, and I hope she's not insulted because, eventually her career may take her somewhere else, and I'm probably still going to call her Petaluma Peggy, but it just flows.
It's a term of endearment. It's fine.
It is.
Now, is my memory failing me, or does she also have horses?
She lives on a working cattle ranch.
That's what it was. Okay.
And there's been times apparently
jealous.
apparently she's been late to work because she had to deliver a calf. So, you know, it's a different lifestyle in Northern California sometimes.
Sure is. All right, Dan.
Don't mess up the snake, Dan.
I won't. I'm gonna tee you up with a little message to our youth. My number 2 pick was episode number 679.
Oh my god!
And my number 1 pick is episode number 697. Leadership and Change Management with Kelly McAdoo, Santa Barbara, California. It's another one of Ben's greatest hits. But last time he interviewed her, she was in Hayward, California. Yeah. And now she's in city administrator for Santa Barbara. She discussed insights into executive leadership and navigating complexity in local government. She talks about practical advice on career strategy, noting that professionals must be proactive in seeking necessary supervisory experience. A significant takeaway for me was her approach to building trust in the organization, having weekly open office hours to meet with staff across the organization for career development or suggestions. And she said something that I always hear and tell people all the time, that no one's going to look out for your career except for you and the GovLove hosts who will interview you to help your career. But state preemption is an increasingly important issue for local governments. Julia Novak talked about it in her episode 2. In this episode, Kelly talked about managing the political tension created by state preemption over housing laws, such as the state density bonus law superseding local charter height limits. Oh, this just talked to the land use attorney in me. There's no doubt this was going to be number 1. The discussion highlighted the difficulty leaders face walking that thin line before balancing preservation values with the need to build housing. Here in Illinois, this week, the governor signed transit legislation that eliminated parking minimums near transit. We've also seen preemption of local regulations for wind, some local regulations in wind, solar, and other environmentally friendly energy regulations. So it's interesting to see this preemption theme carry across some of the episodes. It's an important issue that I'm facing in my practice, and folks are facing in other states as well, and actually probably have been facing it more for a long time. It just seems to be increasing. But congratulations to Kelly, and look forward to the parade celebrating the GovieLovie Award on the streets of Santa Barbara. Maybe you know someone who could grant the permit for that. I think so.
Yeah. Well, great summary, Dan. I'm like, did I even do that episode? That like half the stuff was a good reminder for me. But yeah, Kelly was great. She was on the podcast. One of the highlights early on, and one of my favorite early episodes was her talking about kind of lots of innovation, lots of like managing change, being kind of, a forward-thinking city manager. And it was funny to hear her talk about this transition to Santa Barbara, where like she wasn't really looking to leave Hayward, but this position opened. She was in the right life place where like her child had just, I think, gone to college, if memory serves. And it made sense. And it was like, she was like, knew she wanted to do one more stop, but wasn't sure when or where it would be. And like, it's hard to say no to Santa Barbara if folks have been there. And it's a really cool, like if you're nerdy about local government and land use and design and planning, like that is a fun city to like, just be like, wow, I wonder how they do all of this. Cause like, it's a beautiful community, all like Spanish style architecture. It's also a very desirable place. And so that means there's lots of like places, it's an expensive place to live too. So it was interesting to hear her kind of think through that. Cause like there is this challenge around affordable housing. At the same time, people like Santa Barbara the way it is.
Lots of
for good
community
reason.
expectations.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed that conversation. And also ran into her randomly at ICMA, which is always fun to see your GovLove guests in the wild. So
Yeah. Very nice. Also, at the time of this recording, dear listener, Santa Barbara and Santa Claus are top of mind. So I have
It's
been
the
very
season.
good this year. Yeah, 'tis the season. Meredith, your top pick.
My top pick, 681, Public Service and Responsive Government with Brooks Williams. So this was a really interesting listen for me because we have in our organization been kind of grappling with what is failure? How do we define it? What does it look like? What do we do with it? How do we learn from it? And he has been a pretty avid poster on LinkedIn about these topics. And so it was really cool to hear kind of the evolution of that conversation and being able to hear him say like the quiet part out loud, right? Some of the things that maybe you don't always hear, you don't always say. And, where there's that, I don't know, kind of boundary or line between community expectations and community responsibility, and how the local government can't be everything to everyone, right? And so it's kind of an interesting, it was a very different episode from what we normally hear, I think. And kind of having him walk through some of those thoughts and unpacking them a little bit was actually a really helpful thing to help me think through the things we were working through in our own organization. So that just, it was a great episode. He was a great guest to listen to, and it just came at a really timely place that I kept kind of going back to that and wanting to re-listen sections of it and have it help me think through what we were working on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to Brooks. He's the city manager of Ferris, Texas, which is not a huge community, but
a little bit smaller.
Yeah, and his background, if my memory serves, is like he's not a traditional local government background.
That's
either.
right.
Like came up through like kind of the quality space and like I can't remember, education or healthcare, and anyway, and so like he came in with this kind of different perspective, and like you're right, his LinkedIn posts are what really made me want to like talk to him more. Is like he writes about local government and the expectations we have, but also like just personally like what the behavior or like the values that like city managers have or should have. And he has a really different perspective on the profession, and I think a good one. I think you put in the notes like refresh or maybe
refreshing. Kind of makes you think, right? Like it doesn't have to be completely aligned with your way of thinking, but it's helpful have a different perspective.
Yeah, to wrestle with his perspective, and and I think it's a good model too. Like he came in and like has turned that place around from what you could tell on the outside, and like made it very transparent, very performance based. And so he's definitely a leader, I would say, in this profession.
All right, you're up.
Oh, me, number one. So my number one episode of the year, number 686, and this will actually kind of preview what I hope to do more of in 2026, is Firehouse to City Manager's Office with Bryan, Dehner, and Donna Lake. This was an episode that Lauren hosted. I mentioned earlier that, part of the conversation with Julia, she talked about these folks that are entering the city manager role with a different perspective, coming up a different route than the traditional route. And this was a great example of that. And it was really interesting to hear their perspectives of like how the Firehouse kind of informs their leadership style, like what makes them a good leader because of that. Like, I think I can't remember which one of them said this now. Lauren, it's been too long, but talked about how like when you're a fire chief, you have to make decisions in a moment. Like you have to be responsive in an emergency, and like sometimes as a city manager, people just want you to decide. And so like you have to like do that, and like you have good experience of that, doing that in a public safety background, and so. Just again, not a traditional path, but like really different perspective on what it means to be a leader in that big chair when you come from a firehouse. I don't know, Lauren, if there's other things you would highlight.
Yeah, no, thanks for recognizing the episode. I really enjoyed this one too. And a couple things. First of all, like reminder for our listeners, we always love recommendations for episodes because this was one, I think it was Meredith said, hey, people are interested in like fire chiefs or police chiefs who have become city managers. Does anybody know a fire chief who's a city manager? And I was like, wait a minute, I do. I know 2 fire chiefs
Cool.
who are in city management now. Get them both.
Yeah, that came from our assistant chief, Jason Hosea. Was like, hey, I listened to your podcast. I wonder if you have anyone. I'm curious.
Yes. So I don't know that I would have thought to do the episode if not prompted in that way. So listeners, always send us your ideas. But yeah, I love this episode too. I think not only just the transition from the fire service to city management, but also the transition. They were both chiefs, fire chiefs, and in pretty large organizations. And so to go from a number 1 position back to a number 2 position, assistant or deputy, and kind of that dynamic of making that transition. And they both had really interesting things to say about that. And like I think these are 2 people who I just admire and respect professionally, and they value everything that they had to say. So it was fun to get the chance to talk with them and learn a little bit more about their backgrounds and careers.
Awesome. Well, that's it. That's the GovieLovies. Our producer pick. So producer Pizza Mike, his favorite episode of the year was the one that Meredith highlighted as well, from with Brooks Williams on public service and responsive government. So that was he echoes you.
Good job, Mike.
Pick. Yeah. Now to recap, so Lauren went first. Her number 3 episode of the year was Sparks Pilot Program with Grace Hanne from Johnson County, Kansas. Her number 2 was Leading ICMA and the Roots of Professional Government with Julia Novak, number 701. And then her number 1 episode of the year was the Scenic Route to City Hall with Petaluma, Peggy, Flynn, episode number 691. Dan's number 3 episode was Development and Customer Service with JC Hudgison from Tampa, Florida. His number 2 was Land Use Planning and Residential Segregation with Dr. Scott Markley. And number 1 was Leadership and Change Management with Kelly McAdoo, Santa Barbara, California. Meredith, her number 3 episode was The Real Ice Town with Tim Blakeslee from Plymouth, Wisconsin. Number 661, Staying Authentic with now I'm panicking because you guys pronounce it differently than I've been reading it in my head.
Aarón.
Staying Authentic with Aarón Zavala, number 703. And then her number 1 episode was Public Service and Responsive Government with Brooks Williams from Ferris, Texas, number 681. And then my top 3 were first, number 700, the ICMA recap episode with several of our co-hosts and friends of the pod. Number 2, Change Management and the New Form of Government with Michael Jordan from the city of Portland, Oregon, number 678. And then my number 1 episode of the year was from Firehouse to City Manager's Office with Bryan, Dehner, and Donna Lake, episode number 686. So that's it. Those are the GovieLovies. You, dear listener, you can also vote on the top episode of the year. We're going to be publishing some sort of poll along with this episode. You can just, more to come on that. You can decide which episode was your favorite of the GovieLovies. And we've lost our 4th co-host. Meredith's got to get some battery for her phone, but she's done good work here. But the 3 of us will take us home. Also, this year we are, as we mentioned, celebrating 10 years of the GovLove podcast. You can help us commemorate this milestone by calling the GovLove hotline at 720-282-1752. Leave us a message with your favorite GovLove memory, your predictions on the next 10 years of local government, and you just might be featured in a future episode. Just like our friend, Andy Cross. We've got a clip here of him sharing his highlights.
Hey there. This is a message to the question, what will local government look like in 10 years? Hey there. This is Andy Cross, AICP, a planner with the Lakota Group here in Chicago. What will local government look like in 10 years? We all know that change typically comes slowly, so I don't think local government will have an entirely new face or anything. I see a growing reliance on digital documentation. That means electronically submitted plans and applications, and also not printing hundreds of pages of meeting packets and delivering them to commissioners and council members' homes before meetings. I foresee more flexibility in work structure to align with the values of younger staff who started in an era of remote work. Some communities continue to have a rotating work-from-home schedule for staff, and I don't see that going away. But in the end, so much of community development is conducted on a person-to-person basis. Think building inspections, meeting with applicants, homeowners, developers. You can't speed those up or create brochures or web pages to address every question. While some things in local government will change in 10 years, the importance of planning knowledge, understanding, and communication isn't going anywhere. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you calling. That was awesome. What's your dream interview or topic for an episode in 2026, Lauren?
Just this week, I got an ICMA posting about Placer AI's markets to watch in the next year. Salt Lake City, Reno, Indianapolis, Raleigh, and Tampa. We featured Tampa this year, but be interesting to see what's going on in those other places and why they're markets to watch. So stay tuned.
Ben, what about you?
Well, for me, I kind of foreshadowed this, but I'm going to talk to more folks that have had those alternative career paths to the city manager role. There's some, folks on LinkedIn that have been Parks and Rec directors and are now city managers. And like, obviously, if our listeners have ideas on folks that have, not done the traditional, either budget finance to assistant to city manager role, like what I'd love to get those perspectives. So that's something I want to explore a little bit in 2026. Dan, what about you?
For me, I put in to go to the APA conference in Detroit this year, maybe to interview some award-winning planners. We did that in Minneapolis a couple of years ago, and Lauren liked the episode so much that she moved up that way.
That's the reason, I think. Yeah.
Hope to do this again, and maybe she'll move again.
Yeah.
I'm not moving again, but I can't wait to hear your episodes.
Well, what's the one thing that you can't let go? Lauren, what do you think?
I am loving life in Minnesota and hope to do more episodes next year featuring great talent up north, but I also cannot let go of Kansas City and maintaining dual citizenship. And we'll continue to bring you great stories from throughout the Midwest in the coming year.
Well said. For me, I can't let go. This morning was the holiday concert for our daycare, which is I want to be very clear. These are preschoolers. This is infant to like 4 years old.
Yep.
So to call it a concert is hilarious.
Yeah.
They roll the babies out. Some of them shake bells. Others don't.
Yep.
A song plays. The next group comes out. My toddler today walked to me instead of the stage, and then sucked on her thumb the whole time the song played, and it was adorable and hilarious, and they're all wearing matching clothes. It's very funny.
Yeah. My kid was singing Rudolph and did not look at the camera and was just goofing around with his friend, which is actually perfect.
Yeah. So. Exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of toddlers, my can't let it go is Paw Patrol Christmas special, which has been on a loop in our house, which reminded me of course, GovLove 700, an ICMA conference recap episode where during a discussion on civic education, I think it was Jackie Meyer mentioned that children often learn who the mayor is based on their cartoons, and that in Paw Patrol, Mayor Humdinger is depicted as a character who is kind of not a smart character. I think she just misunderstood that Mayor Humdinger was breaking into Santa's workshop because he wanted the presents. I think that actually is kind of smart. It also got me thinking whether I would rather be town attorney in Foggy Bottom or Adventure Bay, and I want your thoughts on this subject. Almost all the bad stuff that Mayor Humdinger does is likely outside the scope of his official duties and should not be attributable to the municipality. So like that part of the job would actually be pretty easy. And then in Adventure Bay, we would have to evaluate the legal status of the Paw Patrol.
Yep.
Are they sworn officers entitled to governmental immunity, or are they just vigilantes, which is what they appear to be?
Are they government contractors?
Right. And are they? Do we have a contractual relationship with these vigilantes? And what are the child labor issues related to public services delivered by a 10-year-old and his team of pups? I first thought there was a no-brainer that Adventure Bay would be the better job, But I'm starting to think Foggy Bottom might actually be the pick. What do you guys think?
Dan, this is not the first time I've heard someone say that Paw Patrol does not cast a very positive light on local government. And you have just taken it to the next level and helped me think about it in lots of new ways.
Oh, Dan.
Oh,
What a lovely note. This is classic Dan.
Thank you. Sorry,
for next
Ben.
year, though. Teaser for next year, because GovLove will be featuring an episode with a legit dog mayor.
Heck yeah.
Who's going to show a much more positive spin.
Positive.
We will correct all the rumors on Mayor Humdinger. Stay tuned. Coming in 2026.
Stay tuned.
And then I can't wait for the follow-up episode where Dan explores the legality of the Paw Patrol universe in terms of local government land use.
You need to write an article. Isn't there?
This is a law review article.
Law journal.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
But Ben, it's time for the question. If you could be the GovLove DJ, what would be your exit music for this episode?
Well, I turned to our fearless producer, Pizza Mike, and his pick for our end of the year episode was Kool and the Gang Celebration, which, I think is the perfect note to end this year on and to leave our GovLove listeners with. So great pick, Pizza Mike. That ends our episode
10
for today.
years.
Yeah, 10 years somehow.
And many more.
Yes.
That ends our episode for today. Thank you for joining us. GovLove is brought to you by Engaging Local Government Leaders. It's hosted by the people here and also Marissa and Meredith. You can reach us online at elgl.org/GovLove.
Help us out by hitting subscribe and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever your podcasts are heard. That will help spread the word about the podcast so more people can find out GovLove is the go-to place for local government stories.
ELGL is the Engaging Local Government Leaders, and we're a membership organization. So if you love GovLove and you're not yet a member, please sign up today. Membership is just $50 a year, and you can sign up at elgl.org.
If you have a story idea that you want to share, reach out to us. Some of our episodes that we talked about today, as we already highlighted, came out as the result of folks reaching out, members reaching out, ELGL members reaching out to talk about cool things going on in their organization or just ideas that they want to hear more about. And with that, Dan, do you want to count us down?
Thanks for listening. This has been GovLove, a podcast about local government. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world, come on! It's a celebration. It's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate.